Okay, what a title. In defense of the racists. Obviously, I'm not going to defend them, but I'm going to open your mind a little bit. And before you comment, just watch the video. If at the end of the video you still hate it, go ahead. Put the hate comment. I get it. I also think there would have been so many stages in my life where I would have just read the title and been like, "Fuck you! What do you mean?" I absolutely get it, okay? But I'm going to talk about it because I want to talk about it. Because I have access to a camera. It's actually not even a camera, it's my computer, whatever. Okay, in defense of the racist, Sylvia Plath. So I posted a clip from my Sylvia Plath video, which is so ironic because I literally say I'm not going to teach you how to write, not write journal like Sylvia Plath because her mental health wasn't good, and so clearly whatever she did with her writing didn't help her mental health, and I don't want to encourage or romanticize things that don't need to be romanticized ever. So I said in the clip, I'm not going to teach you how to journal like her. And the comment was, let's fucking read it. Where did I put it? Oh God, now I missed where I put it. Here. There we go. So you want to write like a racist? And it's a 15-second clip, okay? It's not 10,000, like, it's not long. It's not a long clip. And I said, I am not going to teach you how to write. It's also written, I think, in all caps in the caption of the clip. The attention why you shouldn't write like Sylvia Plath. The shouldn't is like big letters. The attention economy is like downhill. Like, if I have addressed it in the video you're seeing, and it's not even like a video, it's like a 15-second clip, and then you're like saying the opposite, I almost don't think it needs to be discussion, but now it's going to be a video. Not because I don't want to send any hate towards this person, I also don't think you could, but let's not. It's just, let's open this conversation up. Because I think this is the biggest bamboozle we've done to minorities, people of color, whatever else, whatever minority you are in, the biggest detriment to you is the people you are limiting yourself learning from. So let's, I guess, address if she's racist or not. I have no idea. I have read 100 pages, maybe even less, of her journal entries. I think she did say the N-word or a word quite similar to the N-word. I think she's definitely a product of her generation, and let's just talk about it, because we're all just so like up our own asses about this and never having a nuanced conversation about this. She definitely had some racist thoughts from the journals. And I'm not even debating if she's racist or not. You can think she's racist, you can think she's not. I don't know. I think let's talk about it. I think it's really difficult, and it is to everyone's detriment, to take people and extract them from the time they're born. What does that mean? To rob people of their context. This is not to excuse them. And I'll differentiate in a second. But to rob them of the time that they're born. And you're like, oh, but they could have known better. Yes, everyone could have known better, but I think we are so blindsided and so ignorant to the fact that there was no internet. At some point, there was no internet. So people could really be brainwashed. People would have 100% control over what people saw. The things they saw on TV, that could be controlled. There's no VPN, there's no nothing. If you can't have Instagram, you can't have Instagram. Instagram didn't even exist. But now we think of nations that are brainwashed, and I'm not going to go into politics because I'm not a political person at all, but they can still use a VPN, the TV was what it was. The radio was what it was. They could pick what radio stations you could listen to and what radio stations you couldn't listen to. The books were what they were. If the books were burned, you couldn't download a PDF on the internet illegally. The books existed, and the ones that didn't. Like, there was so much more control that will probably never exist again, thank God, that we can't even imagine. Of all the ways they had control, the food stamps, that, there was so much more control that people had on a grand scale on people, and of course in the other direction as well. Like the slavery and other things, of course in the other direction as well. I'm not denying that in any sense of the word. But there was so much more mind control going on than there is now. But I'm gonna address now as well. And so to pretend someone saying something racist before the internet and in the 1930s, 40s, 50s, as to compare someone who's saying something racist now, is ignorant. It is ignorant to pretend they lived the same lives, had the same sources of information, had the same opportunities. People would have their church, people would have their parents, people would have that, but that was kind of it. And if their parents and their church didn't have ways to expand their mind, that was kind of it. There was no internet. There was no TikTok. There was not even Facebook or Google, or like this idea that you can have such an open mind. An open mind is a privilege. An open mind is a privilege. It's a privilege to be open-minded, to know new cultures, to not be scared of cultures. It is not, oh, well, everyone's default is racist. Can we talk about that? Racism is taught. Racism is taught. It's not something someone wakes up, for the most part. I mean, there's always exceptions to rules, but I'm going off of like the average, normal, decent person. Doesn't wake up in the morning and is like, you know what I want to be today? Racist. I just really feel like being racist today. Like, nobody wakes up. Not nobody. There's always exceptions, and I'm sure you're going to point them out in the comments. But most people, first of all, because you don't gain anything out of it. And second of all, because it's not a choice. It's taught. Because it is a lie. It is a lie that is taught over and over again. That was taught through media. That was taught through movies. That was taught through books. And it was repeated all the time. You want proof? You want proof that you've also been brainwashed by something? Insecurities. Do you really think you'd care about your nose shape if nobody pointed it out? Your jawline ratio? Your side profile? You really think these are the things that your own mind, your brilliant, smart mind would pick up on if you didn't get it pushed out to you by makeup companies or plastic surgery companies that want you to buy something? You really think your brilliant mind is like, but how do I look from the side? What? And of course, this is more benign, but also not. Like, you can get into really serious issues. Like, there's a lot of surgeries, like plastic surgeries, and like, I think BBLs are one of the most dangerous surgeries in the world. Like, you can die, and there's a lot of people who die from it. To die, to have a butt, literally. And do you think people are, like, making that up? Do you think that's what their brain would naturally go to? And there's going to be, I'm going to split it in half. So there's definitely people who are racist. Absolutely. But there's also people who are ignorant and stupid. And not stupid in the sense that they can never be intelligent and they can never learn and they never achieved anything. But just in the run of the mill, like, this was taught to them by this person and then that was taught to them by them. And they kind of never questioned it. And the thing is, people don't think they're wrong. And so, yes, if someone is racist, they're wrong. But people don't think that. I'll give you a very, very simple explanation. Your native language. The one you, or if you know too many languages, the one you think in. The language you think in. If I told you today, okay? Now o'clock, never think in this language again. If you think in this language, you're a horrible person. Never speak in it again, ever. Don't even try to translate a word from that to that, no. But also never think in it again. And if you think in it, I want you to just like hurt yourself. You'd be like, that's a monstrous thing to do. Because I didn't learn this language under the pretense of, I'm gonna hurt people. I didn't. And it was taught to me by such a young age. This is just part of who I am. It would be an impossible task. And yes, this is a trivial example. And this is an example, please don't do this. This is ridiculous. Please take examples as they are. But that's how some racists feel. I mean, they grew up with that thought pattern. They had it reinforced all around the world all the time. And yes, of course, we would all love to think, and I would love to think that about myself too, but I hopefully will never have to prove that fact. We would all like to think, any time in history you would have dropped me in, I would have been just so like perfect, and I would have known everything, and I would have been accepting of everything the second I heard it without any question, but only the good things and never the bad things, and I would have been obedient, but only to the good people and never the bad people, and these traits that usually aren't selective, I would have selective. We all love to think of it, and There are some people who did. I mean, like Martin Luther King, blah, blah, blah. Like, there's tons of examples of people, but those are the exceptions. Those are the exceptions. And you might be the exception. But there is no use in demonizing it. This is such a nuanced and difficult conversation, and I can already see the hate comments, but it's fine. We're going to have to talk about it, and someone like me is going to have to talk about it because it's so difficult to touch on if you're not someone that can be affected by it, because it's a difficult topic even for me to talk about, because I know 16, 17-year-old me would have been like raging at the mouth seeing my own video and being like, what are you doing? What are you saying? Do you not know how hard I have it? She has a point. But, first of all, it's more like 10th of all, let's say, so we were talking about people in the past and adding context to people in the past, and I think that's important. Now, the way that I think that's detrimental to you is if you can never get anything out of anyone who isn't perfect, you are limiting the sources of your knowledge. Let's say Sylvia Plath is a racist. I don't know. She could be from the evidence gathered. Let's say she is. She's also an amazing poet and an amazing thinker and a very interesting character. She also is. And if you now say, well, she's a racist, he's a racist, they're a racist, racist, you know how many people you're like not learning from ever? And you could learn from her. You could be the non-racist, amazing thinker. But if you're limiting the people you can learn from, the people that help you evolve, the sources you can read from, I mean, honestly, if you're looking for a perfect poet to learn from, you're going to be searching a long time. I'm not saying there's never a good poet and there's never a good person that's a poet. I'm not saying that, but poets tend to not. I mean, that's not their specialty. They're not humanitarians. They're like lunatics who are great with pens. And I am a poet, but I'm going to be real, I'm not perfect either. Now, am I Sylvia Plath? No, but I am definitely not perfect, and I always try to learn, and I try to be open-minded, and I try to give people context of their history. And if they're in a time before the internet and they're in a time of this, I'm not going to hold them to the same standards. I'm not going to hold someone who wasn't in the therapy, blah, 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 time period to the same standard as the people who did have access to therapy, and that was normalized. You can't judge them with the same thing. What the fuck do you think therapy is? Like, it did help some people. It clearly does a lot. And so the people who didn't have access because it was stigmatized or because of this or that, I am not going to judge those two people with the same metric. What? I'm not judging someone who's my height versus someone who's 2 meters in basketball with the same tenacity. That would be insane. You'd be like, bitch, they're not the same height. I'm swearing a lot. I'm really passionate. I'm going to try to slow it down. But you wouldn't judge them on the same thing, so you can't judge other people through, and this is height. They could get stelts, they could this is a fixable problem. I still wouldn't judge them on the same thing, even if they were wearing stelts or wearing things to make themselves taller. It's not the same as having legs that are that tall. And that is height. That is not brainwashing and society at large. And we love to criticize society, and you have a point. But then you have to also acknowledge that people are a product of the society they're around. Society is people, and people are in society. You can't just judge people so critically and then also be like society, but then also not acknowledge society. What? And I also understand where you're coming from. And I think the people who want to misunderstand this will, and I think me a couple years ago would have misunderstood this as well. So if you're not ready for a message, you're not ready, and I've definitely not been ready for so many messages. So you're limiting who you're learning from. The person who can learn from anybody learns way more. It learns way more. And now Sylvia Plath may not be the one, but if now you're studying anything and then you're like, well, I can't learn from the scientist because the scientist once said the N-word. I mean, you don't need to learn how to say the N-word. You don't need to become racist. But if they've, I don't know, invented a formula of I don't know what, you can learn the formula of I don't know what. Oh, I can't do the workout from this actress because she, I don't know, did this or that. Don't do what the actress did, but if she looks good, you can do the workout. This is the only time where I truly think you can extract the art from the artist. You can learn the thing without doing the other bad thing. And I think this is actually the downfall of good people and wokeness, is the bad people are learning from everyone, and so they're learning faster. And so they're learning faster, and they're learning more because they're not kept by this like insane standard. And I'm not against morals at all, or standards or values at all. Those are great, but it turns bad when you are limiting who you can learn from. And when you are limiting your access to information, because there are some people who are not picky at all. They'll learn from anybody, anything. And it's not, oh, you learn from Sylvia Plath, now you need to say the N-word. No, you can learn from Sylvia Plath and never say the N-word. I know, groundbreaking news. And you can call her racist or not. That's not, I'm not dying on the hill of like, call her racist, don't call her racist, whatever. Just don't make it so that you are putting yourself at a disadvantage for no reason at all. And don't extract context from people. Don't do that. It's not helpful. It's not going to help you. It's not going to help anybody. And the conclusion is, if, let's say there's 10% of the population is like actually real deal Holyfield racist, okay? Maybe I'm probably going a little light. It's probably a little higher, but whatever. Let's say this. What is the answer? We have identified the problem. We have probably over-identified and diagnosed the problem. What is the answer? You're like, what do you mean? Is the answer screaming at them, saying they're a horrible person, saying they should be like cast out of society? How are you going to cast them out of society? Whatever you're thinking of, stop thinking of it. Like, they're going to exist and they're going to live. It's an insane idea to think another way. Obviously within reason. I mean, there's insane people who do insane things and are racist. This is out of the scope of the conversation. Out of the scope. We're not discussing that. We're not discussing insane people. I'm not defending insane people. I'm talking about the run-of-the-mill person who's once said the N-word in a rap song. I'm talking about the run-of-the-mill person who's maybe had parents who were very in a certain way and that they've inherited that thought pattern. I am not, or historically they were set in a time period where they were brainwashed. I'm not talking about people who were actually actively inflicting pain. Obviously not. But let's say we're talking about the people we're talking about that I've defined who is not part of it. But is it screaming at them? Saying, what is the solution? So you don't need like an insane amount of empathy. I'm not saying you have to be like, oh, no, and that's not, you're going to fake it. Like I wouldn't have that amount of empathy even. Like, I don't think I could. I think there's people, like, I think there's a black guy who talks to KKK members and, like, gets them to convert back into, like, normalcy. Which is so impressive. I do not have that amount of self-control. I would just be crying, raging the whole way through. I wouldn't do it. I could never do that. Never in a million years. So kudos to him. That's so impressive. Literally one of the most impressive things I've ever heard. Ever. So I couldn't do that. But he is a great example of what you can do in the minor sense. Of what's the solution? The solution is obviously to get a racist to not be racist. And yes, there's things you want to do and there's things that work. I want to eat whatever I want and not gain weight. I want to never sleep again. If sleep was optional and my eyes and my everything wouldn't like suffer from it, I would never sleep. I hate sleep. It's the most boring, benign, like the thing in life. If I could, I would never sleep. Obviously I can't, because then I'm a raging bitch when I don't sleep and I'm on too much coffee and then I'm like jittering mad, like I need sleep, but if I could, I wouldn't. But that doesn't work. There's things you want to do, but they don't work. What do I want to do when someone's really actually racist? Oh, of course, I want to scream, I want to fight. I can't fight, I'm 5'3" and I really have no upper body strength. But that would be my like animal instinct. What works? So there's a few approaches I think that work. Also, first of all, it's not your job. It's not your job. This is not something where I'm like, by the end of this video, every time you see a racist, I'm going to need you to have a debate. No. You have to do none of this. But if you're going to engage, if you are already going to engage, I think it's better to have a good conversion rate. Every racist you speak to, you convert, or almost every. You don't have control over their mind, of course, but you want to at least say, I did it. I was strategic, I thought of it through, I am intelligent, I did it well. Even if they still are a racist afterwards, then they are. Then that's who they are, and that's shitty. Absolutely. But I'd never want to encourage things that don't work. This doesn't come from a place of like, I know better and and like, you are hurt too easily. I'm hurt so fucking easily. Like a leaf falls and I have a mental crisis. Like, it's just, it doesn't work. Nobody screamed at and it's like, okay, well, maybe I should change. Most people, when they get screamed at, they're mad at the person who's screaming at them. That's it. Even if you have the most valid point in the world, and I'm an emotional person, so I absolutely get reacting emotionally, but even if you have the most valid point in the world, if you scream it, the person who's receiving it is not like, well, no, what they're thinking is like, bitch, why the fuck are you screaming at me? Maybe not swearing this much. I don't know why I'm swearing this much this video. I think because I'm passionate about this, and it is a more emotional video than the other ones. But you would not be like, oh, I hear you out. You're telling me I'm a doofus for not whatever? Oh, I think I should. No, like, you get defensive. When one attacks, one defends. So you cannot attack. This takes so much self-control. So much. What has helped for me? So I'll give you some personal examples. Because obviously I've experienced racism. I don't know. Obviously not thumbs up. But I think I've dealt with it badly and I've dealt with it well. And I do see a difference. Now, there's some people you cannot change. And don't put it in your mind that if you were smart enough, you would change everybody. No. If someone is willing to change, the things I'm going to give you, I think, are going to help. If they're not willing to change, it's not your fault, though. Like, it's interesting because if someone is nice to you, it's usually specific to you within, like, if they're really nice. But if someone is really mean, it's usually not specific to you. If it's like a stranger, you know what I mean? Obviously, if you just hurt someone, you're like, it's not my fault if you're mean. No, within reason. So one of the things, once, like, for passport control or when I'm flying or these kind of things, they'll be like, oh, they'll be just, run-of-the-mill annoying about these things and be like, oh, are you sure you're from there? Are you sure? Like, these kind of things. I will be, and this takes so much work, but I'll explain why it works. I will be so sweet. I will soften my tone. I'll speak a little quieter, but not so quiet that they have to be like, huh? What are you saying? I'll soften it up. And I'll be super cooperative. And you're like, you just sound like a pussy. That's fair. But thank God I'm not monetized, because whatever this is, this would not be monetized by anyone. But why do I do that? Because I like being that nice? No, I don't. I don't enjoy it. I mean, it's fine. I like being nice to people who are nice, but when someone's like accusing you of something, of course you don't want to be nice. Why do I do that? Because I understand humans. And you know what changes someone really quickly? Embarrassment. Everyone's scared of embarrassment. Public speaking is like one of the biggest fears. I think even over dying or something. Like, people are terrified of public speaking. Why? Because they're embarrassed to fail in front of others. That's why people don't go for things, all that. Why do I incorporate this here? If you can embarrass a racist, which you would think, oh, screaming at them is going to embarrass them. No, that's going to embarrass me. Again, you have to know within the degree of, like, how safe are you, how safe are you not. But I'm giving you different examples for different situations. If you can embarrass a racist, they're going to think about it. Because, yes, I think humans have a tendency to think about themselves the most and be selfish. But if you embarrass them, what happens? They don't want to be embarrassed again. So they're going to have to think about it. They're going to have to think about what they did wrong. Same with public speaking. If someone like shits the bed with public speaking. Oh my God, I need to stop swearing. This is getting spooky. When they shit the bed with, that New Year's resolution didn't work. It wasn't actually one of my New Year's resolutions. Anyways, with public speaking, and everyone's silent and nobody laughs at a comedian goes up on stage, nobody laughs at their jokes. Do you think they're gonna ever do that same set again? No, they're gonna work on the set. If everybody laughs, they're gonna keep the set. If you embarrass yourself, they're going to keep the set. If you embarrass them, they're going to rethink the set. So you want to embarrass them. You want them to see themselves. And the easiest way to do that is put a mirror to their actions. And if you are neutral, they get to see what if like they're wrong. Like I've had that a couple times as well with people. Like you'll go out of a store and the thing will bing, and I didn't take anything. I'll be so cooperative. I'll give you my bag. I'll be super sweet. I'll lighten my tone. They don't find anything. The face of embarrassment, because I've been sweet, I've been kind, I've been cooperative, and they're so fucking embarrassed. That works so much better. Yes, more self-control. Yes, it doesn't feel as good instantaneously. But by the time I walk out of the store after they've checked my bag and seen there was nothing, I feel like the queen of the world. And it was like a situation where I and someone else was walking out the store and it was beeping and they only checked me. And I was like, I'm gonna regret this, but only in my mind. You just be sweet. Now there's like, I don't think being sweet is always the situation. And of course you have to like evaluate the situation. I honestly think 90% of the time it is. Not because you're incorrect, but because this works. I would love to never sleep, and I would love to eat whatever I want and stay skinny. It just doesn't work. And it's the same with that. This just works. And does that mean I think I converted every single one? No, but I think I have a higher percentage than the person who's like, how dare you check my bag and not her bag? Which is what I'm thinking in my head. I'm like, what? Why? Yes, all of these thoughts running through my mind. Absolutely. It just doesn't work. And so I don't do things that don't work. I think Gandhi, again, you don't need to do everything Gandhi did, but Gandhi was very much like starving himself, but also trying to be peaceful and not be combative and these kind of things. And I think he was so powerful because he did do things that worked. Yes, you want to be peaceful with things that work. You don't want to like being sweet and kind and have it not work. You need to see the situation. You need to see where you're at. You don't need to be sweet and kind to a stranger you're passing in the evening when you're walking. Like, fuck no. You don't need to be like, hi, I just went to pick up some daisies. Like, no, you don't need to do that. That's not what I'm telling you. No, at all. You don't need to smile at strangers at the subway if it's late. You don't, like, no, you don't need to do any of that extra stuff. It's just when it is useful. Because you want to convert and you want to embarrass and you want them to be embarrassed. Because if they're embarrassed, they change their set. I mean, most people learn like that. Most people learn from hitting rock bottom. And the easiest way to have someone hit rock bottom is see how their behavior actually looks. But if you are blinding their behavior with your behavior, if you're blinding their racism with screaming, it doesn't work. There's exceptions to every rule. I believe you're intelligent enough. This obviously I think also can be extracted to different stereotypes and different races and different minorities. I can only speak to what I've experienced, but I think this would work for everybody. But you're smart enough. I absolutely believe anyone who's watched this whole video and who's subscribed to my channel, and most people, I think almost everyone. I think everyone has such potential to be super intelligent, but I think you're smart enough to know when you want to convert and when you want to avoid and when you want to defend. It's just about the fact that you can have all three. It's just about the fact that you're not using the same tool for everything. You're not using a hammer for everything. You don't want to use a hammer for everything because you're going to end up hurting yourself more. A hammer is great for some things, it's not great for others. A screwdriver is great for some things, it's not great for others. You don't want to use the wrong thing. And I want you to have the toolkit, and I want you to have a positive impact, and you're gonna feel better. Racism is such a sucky thing to have to go through, absolutely. I think it's gone down a lot, to be fair, but I also don't think I experience it as much as other people. I've heard much worse stories than mine, absolutely. But it's a sucky thing, and it absolutely hurts, and it feels so unfair. It absolutely does, and I get it, and I felt how unfair it was. And it's so ridiculous that a skin tone and the amount of melanin you have in your skin or where you're from can shape your world and the way people interact with you to such a degree. I absolutely get it. I absolutely get it. I just don't want this to hurt you from yourself. I don't want you to be limited by the people you can learn from. And then to like kind of cap your own intelligence and cap your own ability to research and learn and evolve and these kind of things. And I definitely don't want you to put yourself in more dangerous situations out of pride and out of this idea that everybody needs to fight back and everybody needs to attack. And I want you to feel like you can have a positive impact and that you can handle these situations, and you can think of, if you seriously want to do this, I think you should think of, like, write it down or something, of what you do when, or when not to use sweetness and when yes, or these kind of things. But I want racism to come from other people and not from yourself. And I don't want it to be self-inflicted, and not in the sense that you are racist to yourself, but in the sense of now you are also not helping yourself. Now you're also limiting yourself. Now you're also weighing yourself down and kind of listing out your own stereotypes in your mind and these kind of things. So I hope you enjoyed. I absolutely get if this was misunderstood. Feel free to ask any questions. I think this is an important conversation to have, and I've seen this a lot now with people, and I just wanted to address it. And no hate to this comment. I don't know, but I think it came from a good place. And even if it didn't, don't let the comment exist where it is. But I think it was a good conversation to have. I think it's an important conversation to have, and I think we've lost a lot of nuance in the discussion of racism. And I think, yes, there's bad people, and I think, yes, there's racist people, and I think, yes, there's some bad people that are racist. But there's also some racist people who have learned it from very young and that need to be untaught it, and it's not your job to unteach. But if you want to be strategic, if you want some Gandhi in your life, not in every way, maybe try that on occasion. I think I've felt better since I've thought of it like that. I've felt more in control because, I guess I'm going to keep talking. Another thing with racism that feels so unfair is I don't have control over it. I have no control over who's racist and who's not. I have no control over what am I going to hear and what am I not going to hear. There is no control in that area, but there's control in how I react. And that's brought me so much peace because I know 9 out of 10 times this is how I react. That one time, this is how I react. I did everything I could to make you not racist. If you still are, that's not my job. But I did everything, and that gets to make me feel good. It's not the end result, it's the fact that I tried. It's the fact that I tried to explain this to someone. It's the fact that I responded to someone stopping me at the shop or whatever and was super nice, and then I was like, you'll think about this next time. I didn't even have to say that. I didn't say that. But they will think of it because they don't want to be embarrassed. It's the fact that I had the feeling I'm trying. Does that mean I'm perfect? No. I'm sure. I'm not sure. I hope not. But it could be that in like 10 days you'll see a clip of me being like, how dare you accuse me? I'm human. You're human. It's not about perfection. It's just about trying. And I want you to live the best life you can. And constantly being on combative mode and constantly like super hyper vigilant and looking for racism everywhere, it's just going to make you find racism where it doesn't exist, and it's going to put you so on edge that when there is an actual racist, when there is an actual discussion to be had, when there is an actual thing, you're going to be combat ineffective because you are going to have used up all of your like wit and your intelligence and your energy on the little like things that actually weren't a thing, where you could have responded better and could have like adjusted. And then when it's really showtime, all of your weapons are gone because you use them on frivolous things. You've been shooting for fun. I'm done with these metaphors. They're getting bad. But yeah, I'm a poet. I'm not anything else. I'm a writer and a poet, and this was a discussion I wanted to have. And don't forget to check out all my books. They're about to come up. Are you a question or an answer? The fools who think to stand alone with an idea is scary are the same that see comfort in the majority. But if the majority was right, no one would write. No one would think to raise a pencil to each of the new empty papers. Nobody would want to turn paper into pages. Because the peace a writer searches for in a blank page would be found in the world. The discussion of right or wrong is subjective, yet, most of the time, the ideas we love would fade away as quickly as everybody else. We love to be loved, but don't love to be questioned. Yet, wouldn't you rather be a question everybody answers differently than an answer nobody knows? They might never see you, and you might never see them. They might never see you. They might never never hear the disappointment in your silence. They might never know the sentences you want to say but don't in fear of sounding like a broken record. They might never see all the insecurities you don't point out to them because you're scared they will stand out to them now too. They might never see the small changes in your pupils when you look at them because they never see your eyes when you don't look at them. They might never see you outside of the context of them. They might never hear the small sighs in the morning when you start another day trying to be better but being pretty sure you will fail. They will never hear the songs you skip because they make you too emotional. They will never hear all the things you think are so clear but you never said to them. You might go through life hearing different reviews of the series of books which is your life, none true, but some quite inventative and far-fetched. You might never be seen or heard the way you crave to be. But maybe you will, and that maybe makes it exciting. That small string of maybes might hold you up. It is what makes you go out on yet another date you hate to get dressed, to get to know someone outside of their home, to try to talk. The small maybe is what we live for. The small maybes of life. Maybe I'll run into the love of my life. Maybe the career I love will love me back. Maybe this life is worth another try, she says, with a small but sharp sigh. So quiet that only another maybe could hear it. And maybe someday the two maybes turned their sighs into laughter and their ears into their most used part themselves. Who knows? Maybe. Even horrible things have to start. What's the point of trying if all I do is wrong? He thinks the second part of the sentence, why am I guilty until proven innocent? I am a New York journalist. My birthday is on the 24th of December 1994. I just turned 30. It's Christmas and I'm alone in all the ways a soul can be and a body cannot be. I am 1 meter 95, 58 centimeters. Or in feet, that's 6 feet 5 inches. I know I shouldn't be so exact. And to be honest, I'm not even such a numbers guy, but that's partially how the world has defined me. And since it's one of the few positive traits I get complimented on, I keep it close, like a lonely woman and her Birkin. I swear I'm not as shallow as I sound, he says to his date, Annabelle, who clearly is just as annoyed at life as he is. They both do the first date angry tango. They both thought at least twice, well, you seem nice. Why are you still single? But what they actually ended up saying was, what do you bring to the table? He says. His date replies, nothing. We are at a restaurant, so last I checked, that's the waiter's job. Then she fell into a laugh so deep you would have thought she was a comedian who just hit a comedic home run. That was the first page and one sentence of the second page of my fiction book. It's called The Great Souls Disconnect. If you also just look up my name, Anna Cobbler, I will put it here how to type it, and also it's my username. You can check it out on Amazon. It's available on Kindle and hardcover. Look at this cover. I hope you enjoyed those trailers of my books, and if you want to read on, order them on Amazon. Everything is linked in the description, always. And you can also always look it up under my name, Anna Cobbler. Thanks.